welcome back to the Unexplained Archives, where we talk about all the spooky stuff. I'm Jaime, one of your hosts.
Hello, I am Jen. I am the other host.
Hey, Jen. So we're back.
We are back. Yes, we're back. We're doing good. We just ended up needing to take a week off. As a lot of you know, I had gone out to Oklahoma to where Jaime is, and we were filming the feature that I have been working on for quite a while now. We did a few scenes out that way. It was such an incredible trip. Unfortunately, it got so busy. We just didn't have a chance to get everything done we wanted
we
to
had
do.
all these big plans, but you know how life is. I always try to overbook everything every time. So, but that's okay. We've got some stuff coming up in November, and we'll make some together investigations happen. But
exactly,
but it was still a great opportunity to work on that horror film. So
yeah, it was great. We took just a skeleton crew out from Michigan. So I drove. I had my son Hayden with me. We went out, and then the director, the cinematographer, and one of the actresses flew out, and we ended up bringing on some people from Oklahoma who are absolutely wonderful. I just want to give everyone a quick shout out because they were just amazing. Huge thank you to Roger, who is in the film, and to Brooke, who ran sound, and Mickey and Nate, who were absolutely incredible. They were like, I don't know, jack of all trades. Nate ended up getting in the movie.
Yeah.
Along with Jamie's dog that she dog sits for.
Yes.
They got
Naima. Shout out to Naima.
That's right. Yes. And
she did so good. I couldn't believe she was just like, she took direction. I'm like, okay, Naima, turn around. She did. And I was like, okay, stay right there. Look at me.
It was incredible. It was so good.
Yeah, she was great.
Yes. So they were so amazing and so helpful. I told them, and I've told them since, I wish we could they're there with you. I wish I could bring them back home.
I know.
Have them come help on the rest of the movie. They were just so wonderful.
They were.
So huge thank you to Jaime for making all of this happen. She's the one who found the locations. And I have to thank the market we filmed at. And Jaime, you're going to have to help me remember, because I just keep calling it the market, but
Farmers Market Connection. Yeah, in Oklahoma City. Yep.
If you live in Oklahoma City and you have not been out there yet, I highly urge for you to go out there. If you're ever in the area, please go visit Joe and his family, because we can't stop talking about, like, we got in there and there's so many things. So it's all like local, foods and crafts. I personally spent quite a bit of money in there. Everybody left
so with cute. Something.
It's adorable. Everything was so delicious. I was just telling Jaime, I am addicted. I bought this vanilla bean strawberry jam, and I can't get enough. Like, the director keeps talking about the peaches and the beef jerky that was there. Like, everybody got something, and they were so kind. And so thank you. Huge shout out to them. If you were in that area, please go visit them. I'll leave their info down below, because holy cow, just so wonderful. And they were so accommodating, and it was just great. And if you haven't yet, please go on Instagram and check out. I did post some pictures while we were out there, so please go check it out. And I might post some more this week. We took all kinds of pictures and things.
We did.
The place was just. We had some happy accidents when it came to the locations.
The bison? I mean, come on. We were like, they were right there. You just, where the bison roam free, I think is something you posted. And I'm like, that's so true. You just go around the corner and you've got all these bison just hanging out.
There they are.
Scratching their belly on a rock,
They were. And it was so beauwetiful. We were in the Wichita Mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were just driving around, and we went up to this. We're in the mountains, for crying out loud, and it was kind of a hazy, sprinkly, rainy kind of day, which created this amazing fog, which people pay money to have. in a
No fog
film.
machine needed. It was just
No,
nature. It was
no,
awesome. It
these
was
are all
magical.
practical effects that we have going on.
Yeah.
We drive on top of this mountain. I pull up to park, and there's a bison in front of my car. I thought it was a statue. It was holding so still. And I
Yeah.
thought, this can't even be real. And so this is something we don't get here in Michigan at all. And so, I mean, there's no mountains, there's no bison on top of the mountains. And so they just hang out. I had to laugh though, Jaime, while we were up there. There was another family up there. They were getting their pictures taken, which
Yeah.
I almost got intrusive and was like, can I please see your pictures after they're done? Because they had to
Yeah.
have been absolutely stunning. Just like the perfect day to get moody, beautiful pictures. But then the police came.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't discuss this after. The police came up the mountain and they just were kind of there. And I had to laugh because we had zero permission
Yeah.
to be where we were. This was guerrilla filmmaking at its finest, minus the gorillas in the mist. But we were up there and we were just shooting. They just
Yeah,
went
they
ahead
didn't
and
care.
the cops were
No.
right there and no one said a word. The only thing the police officer said was, just be careful, don't get too close to the bison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think it's such a spot for, photographers and families to get their pictures made. I think they're used to seeing cameras up there all the time because,
That's what I think too. That's what I think too. I have to tell you, Jaime, I studied photography actually right out of high school, and which helped me so much with my cinematography. My degree is technically in cinematography. I don't know how the heck I got more into producing, but here we are. However, Hayden had his phone and was taking pictures. This kid, this 10-year-old kid, I'm telling you, he's got an eye on him.
He does have an eye. Yeah.
Those pictures he took were 1,000% better than the ones I was taking, because I was just I was half like trying to work. I have to admit, I was kind of like so in awe of where we were, and they were like, we're filming, and I was like, let me just get a few more pictures.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do your thing. But Hayden was getting right up there. You had taken Hayden, and the two of you went and were taking these pictures, and he came out with some. I'll post some Hayden pictures.
That's
because
awesome. Very cool.
Very, very cool. He loves to take pictures. So I told him.
I saw some of them. I was like, wow, he's got an eye for sure. He's a natural.
He does. So I was really excited to see that. But what a beautiful trip. We got done what we needed to get done. And I was so glad I had an opportunity to like spend some time with Jaime, which was nice. And it was really great. So I will say, so like I said, I drove out there, which I didn't mind. Everyone kept going, what? You drove? Like,
yeah.
Jaime does it all the time.
I do it all the time. Yeah.
Michigan. I think it was a fantastic drive. I mean, there's so many things like you can do on the way and there too. I mean,
you pass Buc-ee's and the Uranus fudge factory. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things, and it's just I think it's
Route
a beautiful
66 is right there.
You can get on Route 66 and do that as well. So it's, to me, it's an incredible drive. I didn't mind it at all. So as I'm driving, as I'm on my way, we get a message from our friend Brad, and it says, hey, in last week's episode, and I don't know his exact wording, but the gist was, hey, in last week's episode, someone burps really loud. That's what I got.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I was like, no, we didn't.
No,
burp.
There was no one there that would burp really loud. Yeah.
No. Now, for a split second, because Hayden is usually with us. He's not with us today. Like, no one ever knows, but Hayden is usually in the room. Most of my petting zoo is in the room, napping, sleeping. Roscoe, the dog, is always, for the most part, here. We're recording.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, he is a gas bag, and most of the time he is passing gas the entire show. And it's about time you all knew what was really going on my end of things. I'm just going to be honest. And so when Brad said that, I was like, oh, it's got to be Roscoe. And in fact, I think that's what I replied to both
Yeah.
Jamies.
Yes.
Because Jamie's like, Jen, I'm hearing it. I'm listening to it. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, it's just Roscoe. I pulled it's got to be Roscoe for hours on the drive.
Yes.
They're both like, no, it's not.
Just listen to it.
Yeah. They're like, just listen to it. But I'm like, I'm driving. I'm focused. And I was like, I don't know if I can pull over to pull it up or whatever. And we have this other podcast that when I'm with Hayden, we like to listen to. It's super cute. It's called Story Pirates. If there's parents out there who listen, we discovered while we were gone, Story Pirates has been on the air for a really long time, but we are just discovering it.
Oh.
It's where these kids will write in stories. I'm talking like age 4, 5, 6 and up. Write stories. And this group, they're clearly like an improv group, perform and read these stories. And it is so entertaining. They're so great. And Hayden is so into it. So we were like really into our Story Pirates.
That's so funny.
So finally, I get to Oklahoma and we're discussing it. We filmed for the day. This was on, I mean, as soon as I got there on Friday, we set out and we filmed Friday night. And so after we were done filming, we all went out to dinner. And we just started discussing it, and we were talking about it with everyone at the table. And Jamie's like, I'm going to pull it up. So I actually went and listened to the first clip that Brad brought our attention to. And sure enough, yes, it sounds like someone is burping very loudly.
Yeah.
I promise you. And we don't flinch. So we clearly are not hearing it in real time.
No.
And
it's loud. It's not quiet.
It's loud.
Yeah.
It's loud. If you have listened to last week's episode, you may know exactly what we're talking about here. So then Jamie says, I've heard it. She goes, Jamie kept saying, it's a growl. This is not a burp. This is a growl. And so she said, I'm going to pull up another time where I hear it again. And she pulls it up at the table. And I'm not kidding. We all are crowding around this phone. And this sound lets out. And all of us were just like, jumped back, and I know I let out my manly scream, and I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
This is no burp. This is not Roscoe gas. This is not.
I don't know what it is. It's not, it doesn't sound human. I mean, I've played it or pointed it out to several people, and I've had a couple say it could be some kind of echo or something like that, but it doesn't sound like any of our voices,
No.
Yeah. It's weird.
So the first one does sound to me, it does. It sounds like a burp.
Like a burp. Yeah.
But from there on out, it is growls.
Yeah.
And so if I haven't discussed this before, so I'm the one who does the editing. I edit the shows together.
Yes.
And so I'm telling you, as I was editing, I would have heard this, and I did not hear I didn't hear this at all. So what is it? We're gonna play it for you now so you guys can hear. We're gonna take, and we'll slip them in if you didn't catch them from last week's episode, or if you hadn't had a chance to listen to last week's episode. Here are the clips. This is what this sounds like. Please tell us. Please tell us what this is, because I'm at a loss.
Yeah. We want to know, please.
Please tell us. Nothing but cornfields surrounding them, except for these, it'll be like 2 kids. People who seem to interact with them don't make it out alive.
Yeah.
So I think even John. So.
Yeah, it's nuts. So anyway, if anybody knows, please let us know. If it's a technical thing, we would love to hear that, because we are kind of scared, to be honest. Like, where is this coming from? Because this wasn't the first time something like this happened either.
That's correct.
Yes, you had sent me a clip a couple episodes ago.
Yes. So,
and it sounded like a man's voice.
It did.
For a second. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very quick clip. I'll play that as well so you guys can hear. It was from a couple episodes back. This I picked up while I was editing. I could hear it. Now, we had just gotten done saying something, so it was just quiet enough, and to me it sounds like a man's voice coming in. I can't tell what he's saying,
Mm-mm.
Now, I did send this to Jaime. I did send this to our friend Brad. Brad's response is this is an echo of some kind.
Yeah.
And I eventually blew it off as that.
Yeah.
However, as I kept listening to it, I get an echo. If it would have sounded, I'm not saying it could have even been a deeper echo. I could even say, okay, fine, it's deeper, but it doesn't echo back anything we had just said.
Right.
It's something completely different
Yes.
that I'm hearing. Yeah. So now that these burp growls have happened, now I'm looking back at that clip going, wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. Right. It makes it a different perspective for sure.
A little bit. And so now I'm questioning that. I'm going to be super curious to see how this episode.
I know. Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be really listening for things. But yeah, if you guys know what that could be, we're a little concerned that our podcast is a little haunted or
cursed or
I mean, we've been saying this for a while.
I know.
Now it's kind of like
I know.
Okay.
There's been a lot of freaky things since we started, but to me, this one is really unnerving. It does sound like a growl. So to me, it sounds like a growl. So okay.
And not only that, there are other clips. It's not just 2 clips. There are other clips. You can hear it throughout.
Right.
And I just don't know how to explain this. It's completely unnerving to me. Yeah. Other stuff, listen, we've had a considerable amount of strange luck since we've started the show. And, I joke that my bad luck began when I started working on this movie. However, now shit's getting real.
It is.
What is coming through our podcast? So we are not making this up either. This is raw, like, stuff here. Like we can't explain it. So we want to hear your thoughts. What the heck is it? We're kind of hoping for a technical issue because I don't want our podcast to be demonic.
No, we don't. We'd like to keep doing it, so
yeah, we don't want anything like that. I don't know. Like I said, we've talked about this before. We were kind of hoping maybe other podcasters would reach out and be like, hey, we do a paranormal podcast. And yes, when we started it, some weird things have happened. I would like some validation.
Yes.
Is this normal when you start talking about the paranormal? Do you tend to get more happening to you and to the podcast? I don't know.
I know. We want to know though. We want to know we're not alone here.
I don't want to be in this. Just Jaime and I having like the most possessed podcast, although it could bring our ratings up. I don't know. We could get more subscribers.
Yeah. But all of this kind of fits in with our topic today because we're talking about generational hauntings. So this is we're talking about stories of families where strange events are kind of passed down through generations. So it's like haunted bloodlines, curses, modern case of it runs in the family. And so it's not haunted place. I mean, places is haunted people or objects or, things like that. So maybe our podcast isn't a haunted object. Maybe we're haunted people. I don't know.
Certainly possible. I mean, listen, Jaime and I have come on here several times. I mean, we've told our stories, and we both still have more stories. We've only just touched on some of the things that we've seen and heard and experienced. And so, I guess maybe if you bring 2 haunted people together, you get a haunted podcast. I don't know.
Maybe. I guess so. That reminds me too. Speaking of haunted houses and people, Austin Kraska did my story on the Ghost Files, and it just reached over 1 million views. So I wanted to give him a shout out and congratulations on that. He does great work. So please go check out the Ghost Files. A Haunting in Arkansas is my episode, but all of his documentaries are just fantastic.
So good.
So check him out on YouTube, The Ghost Files.
Yes.
So congrats, Austin. That's amazing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. It's amazing.
Yes.
I know the one before yours has now, that's over 2
million.
2
million, maybe 3 million, and maybe up to 3 million. Yeah.
Holy
and
cow.
only been like maybe 3 or 4 months. So
amazing.
That's been up. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So
Congrats to him. That's amazing. And he was really easy to work with. And I just loved that whole experience. So it was great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's yeah, we like when good things happen to good people, and so very well deserved. So way to go. Way to go. Yes. And thank you again, Jaime, for putting it all out there.
Yeah. You're welcome. It's tough. But that was just the one house. I've experienced things in my childhood as well. We're going to have a special guest today. My mom is actually going to come on and talk about some of the stories that I've witnessed. I've been there for some, and then I've heard, her tell along the way, some about my grandmother, her haunting. So this is, very on topic for this week with the generational hauntings. So
very cool.
But yeah, so when we think about ghosts, a lot of times we tie them to a place, a haunted house, a battlefield. I've heard of haunted battlefields, hospitals, it's all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not really the land sometimes, though. Sometimes it's about the blood. Like, spirits don't care where you move. They follow you sometimes.
Yes.
They don't care what house you live in or what town you try to run away to. Sometimes they follow you. And that's what we're talking about today. That's what makes generational hauntings so unsettling, is because there's kind of no escape, So this isn't a ghost that can be like banished by, selling the house or knocking down the walls, or, this is ghosts or spirits or, demons or whatever that has kind of woven into your family story.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, just this dark thing you've inherited and it's passed down, kind of like your eye color, So it's very crazy.
Inherit money.
Yeah. Why couldn't I would rather inherit money than this. Yeah. But there's all kinds of stories out there about generational hauntings, things like this. And we've heard, sometimes there's haunted people, sometimes there's haunted houses, Today I'm going to share some of my stories. I'm going to have my mom on in a minute. And Jen, I know you've probably got some stories to throw in there as well.
Sure.
But we're going to talk about some of the more famous cases, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of these. The first one is the Bell Witch.
Oh, yeah.
This is from Tennessee in the 1800s. It's one of the oldest and most famous generational hauntings. So it was so let's just picture it. So it's the early 1800s. It was Red River, Tennessee. So the Bell family owned farmland out there, and they just wanted an ordinary life. Like they needed a bigger farm. They needed, they were growing. They just wanted ordinary life, but they found themselves stalked by a presence. And this wasn't a presence that rattled chains or creaked floorboards or opened cabinet doors. It was like it spoke. So it had a voice.
Yeah.
It did start with knocking sounds in the walls.
Yeah.
Strange animals kind of lurking at the edge of the property.
Okay.
But then it kind of escalated from there. The Bell children started reporting that their blankets were being yanked off at night. Something invisible would slap them. It would pull their hair. And then it began to speak to them. Have you've heard of the Bell Witch before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's a pretty famous story.
Yes.
So they called it the Bell Witch. This entity had a sharp, mocking voice, but also it was intelligent. So it wasn't like it was almost like it was alive, like a live witch. It was an intelligence that when it spoke, you could tell there was more there than just like echoes or, it was, yeah. So this witch, the Bell Witch, taunted John Bell, calling him Old Jack.
Okay.
And would like curse him, like cuss him out openly.
Wow. Okay.
This is one mean old hag, man. This is crazy.
Yeah.
But she also whispered secrets, like things that there's no way she could have known, like births, deaths, like conversations that were far removed from that moment that she would bring back around. This creeped me out when I started investigating this. One of the Bell children, Betsy, was constantly tormented by this witch.
Yeah.
She claimed the witch would pinch her, strike her, like slap her, choke her in her sleep. And it didn't stop with just the children either. I mean, those poor kids, I can't even imagine, but visitors, they would have visitors come to the home, and they reported also being slapped, having their bed covers ripped off.
Oh my God.
But the witch made it clear that it wasn't just the cabin. So they lived in kind of a cabin. It wasn't the log cabin. If they left, she would follow them. So this did not stay in the house. So yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so creepy. Right. So this dragged on for years and years, through generations of the family. So until John Bell himself died under mysterious circumstances. Some swore it was the witch who poisoned him. To this day, the descendants of the Bells claim that the spirit never truly left. In Red River, this is legendary. The legend of the Bell Witch is passed down just like family history, because for them, it is. I mean, this is their family history. This has been passed on for years and years. So, yeah. So, and I also, I listened to another podcast about this, and where it was on YouTube, and they were talking about how Betsy, they were out, and her brother, they were out in the field. If I get it wrong, it was either brother or sister. They were out in the field, and they saw the woman, the witch. Wow. She was all in black.
Okay.
And she was kind of at a distance. And then, they looked away, she would just kept following anywhere they were, kind of exploring the land, walking or roaming around, and everywhere they went, they could see her off in the distance. And then eventually they looked, and there were 3 children with her. So it was the witch and 3 children. And so they were really freaked out then, because they just appeared out of nowhere, like look once, look again, there's these 3 children. And so they go back to the house. The witch and the 3 children climb up in trees and start swaying, making the branches sway. So and so she goes and was like, look, can you please look what's happening there, what they're doing up in the trees. And nobody else could see them.
No kidding.
So yeah, it was just, there's just so many wild stories about the Bell Witch out there. Right. So check it out. There's plenty on YouTube.
Yeah.
This was just one of them, but yeah.
Yeah, I know of some, I've watched a few investigations of people going out there now, and they've picked up things. Still. So it sounds like whatever was there before could still very well be there. But it makes you wonder, like, why did this entity choose? I get the property. We've said, properties, houses. Okay, that makes sense. Why this family, and why was she insistent? Like, if you leave, I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I know.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, there's no running from it. It's so scary. That freaks me out so bad. Yeah. And then, I mean, a lot of the movies and, TV shows today are kind of based on these stories, these famous stories of generational hauntings.
Yes.
The most recent Conjuring is from the Smurl family in Pennsylvania. This is from the 1970s and 80s era. So the Smurl family, they found their dream home in West Pittston, Pennsylvania. Okay, it was like a duplex. They wanted to raise their kids there, live a quiet life, I'm excited to see The Conjuring and see how they tell this story, the newest Conjuring. I've heard good things. So
yes, we've heard good stuff.
Yes. But yeah, so they instead they get into this house and realize it's a nightmare. It began pretty subtly, just like most hauntings, it seems. Like there would be stains that would show up on the walls and they would just start spreading, with no explanation, no leaks, no water leaks, nothing to explain these stains. There would be foul odors kind of drifting through that had no explanation. Then it started escalating. They started seeing dark shadows. They would crawl across the wall. The family dog would bark and snarl at unseen forces. This is something I've experienced. So it's a very unnerving when your dog starts going crazy and has something invisible cornered.
Staring at something that you can't see, but its eyes are locked.
Right. That is so scary to me.
Yes.
Because you're like, okay, what are they seeing? I don't know. I love it that they want to protect us from those things, though.
They're agree.
Such good animals,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So Jack and Janet Smurl. So it was another Jack. There was maybe they're haunted names out there too.
There you go. Yeah.
So Jack and Janet Smurl reported their daughters were hearing growls in the night. Objects moved on their own. Dressers started sliding across the floor. Lights started flickering on and off. At times, the activity started getting a little violent. So Janet claimed she was scratched and even assaulted by some unseen entity. Okay. And Jack reported being dragged right out of his bed.
Oh.
So yeah,
that's so
just
scary.
Crazy. I can't. Look, just don't mess with my sleep. I love sleep.
I know, right?
Just come on.
You're gonna pick on me. Do it during the day. I can't.
Yes.
I don't have my wits about me while I'm exactly. To sleep. Right.
Yeah.
Jamie and I need at least 1.5 cups of coffee in our system. Yes. Then you want to mess around. All right. But no, not before the coffee and not while I'm
That's right. Come on.
Yes.
I barely get enough sleep as it is. Just let me get through the night. Then you can knock my coffee cup out of my hand when I have a cup and a half. Then
exactly.
Mess with me then. Yeah. But no, I mean, I don't mean to make light of this, but it does. It's just, that's when we're vulnerable. We've talked about it with the sleep paralysis episodes. It sucks that you can't just relax and sleep in your own house. When these things start happening, it's just the worst. I just can't even imagine going through that.
You need your sleep. You need it. It is required for you to function. And if you're not getting enough and you keep getting woken up and down, like it doesn't, it messes with your life. It completely does. Yeah. I know this is a little off topic, but I was just thinking the other day, with Hayden being on the autism spectrum, I tell people, I didn't sleep for the first 4 years of his life. And that is no joke. I would get little bits and pieces here and there, but that was part of the deal. And it was one of the things that we were like, something else. There's more to these things, just because he was an awful sleeper. And even when he would sleep, he was constantly moving and twitching and always, so you would jolt awake because you can hear him moving. And I just think to myself, those first 4 years of his life, how I was a zombie. I was not myself just because I'm not getting enough sleep. So this, to me, hearing the stories of these people, I think about this every haunted story we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to get some rest and go on with your life. It's near impossible.
It is. Yeah.
You can't function. And people don't, it's hard for other people around you to understand. You can't tell work, hey, something's keeping me up at night, so I'm just not myself. It's hard to share things like that.
It is.
So, yeah. But this, I'm telling you, they know when to come and hit on.
Yeah, they're striking when they know it's going to hit you the hardest and the worst, and it just sucks so bad. So what makes the Smurl family a generational haunting is that when the family tried to escape, they actually picked up and moved to another home. The activity followed them to the new place. So they still had the shadows, they had the smells, the assaults, the slapping, the pulling of the hair, the ripping of the covers, all that stuff went with them to the new place.
Right.
It was as if it was like whatever it was, it just tied itself to them and they took it with them. Almost like it just was like attached to their family name, like just moved right with them. Darn. Eventually the Smurls, and every time I see the Smurls, I want to say Smurfs because I have terrible eyes.
I'm right there with you. I do the same. I see their name and I instantly think Smurf.
Every time.
Sorry, Smurf.
I want to say the Smurfs.
That L somehow in my brain wants to switch to an F.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
It wants to curl at the top.
It wants to flip around.
Every time.
Every time. I do it too. You're not alone.
Okay, good. So the poor Smurls, they finally reached out for help. And who do you think they called?
The Warrens.
Yes. So yes, they reached out to who else but Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
They were all over it. They arrived. So they, they're famous paranormal investigators. Of course, everyone knows them from the Amityville Horror.
This is their prime during the time that they happened to the Smurls. Yes. Yeah, they were almost downright a household name at that point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Lorraine claimed that while she was there, she sensed multiple entities. Also something far darker that she called inhuman. So demons. We're dealing with demons here.
Yep.
So the Smurls haunting, this lasted for years. For years, this went on. There were a bunch of skeptics that claimed it was exaggerated. And that's the risk you run when you either keep it to yourself and you're tortured, or you tell people and then you get beat down for being crazy, wanting attention. You can't. I've been through this myself.
You have done it yourself. Yeah. And I feel like story after story we talk about, this is the running pattern. It's one of the reasons we want to do the show, because, we don't want people to feel this way. This stuff happens. This is real life. This stuff happens. I'm not saying every story is
right.
The real deal. We know there's some people out there who want attention and they'll get it however they want to. I'm just saying there are many that are not, and it is exactly right. There are so many things I kept to myself up until some of this stuff until the podcast, because I thought people are going to think you are a loon bird and you're stuck. Like, what do? You keep it in, you feel terrible, it continues to happen. You say something to someone, they think you're crazy. So my heart goes out to anybody who has these type of experiences. It's hard.
It is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But they held strong. I mean, they were like, we're not changing our story. This is what happened. We're not
Yeah.
wavering from this.
Mm-hmm.
They believed that something had attached itself to this family,
Yeah.
and that no matter where they went, this thing went with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't outrun it, and it was torturing. I mean, it was years and years and years. Ed and Lorraine were like, yeah, this thing is evil, and it is not leaving this family alone. So that's another one. They couldn't escape from it. So I'm excited to see the new Conjuring and see how they tell this story. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there about the Smurls, but the Conjuring is the newest, latest, and greatest about that.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not the first Conjuring that was based on a family that had a generational haunting. Also, the Perron family, which is from Rhode Island. This was also the 1970s. This is the basis for The Conjuring.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's lots. I mean, we talked about this kind of before the podcast, and I know that Andrea Perron is very vocal about all this.
Yeah.
She has a lot to say, but theirs is also considered a generational haunting. Their haunting began in the 1970s. So Roger and Carolyn Perron moved into a farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island.
Okay.
And they had 5 daughters. I can imagine, but almost immediately, as soon as they moved in, all these strange things began to happen. At first, it was small. Again, they always start small.
They do.
Rooms were disappearing. There were strange sounds in the night. But eventually the family began seeing full apparitions, like men, women, children just wandering through the house.
Right.
As if it was their house. Like, you guys, this is our house. You guys are the visitors here.
Exactly.
Is kind of the vibe that these entities were giving off.
Right.
One daughter recalled seeing a woman in a gray dress with her head hanging low, and she would just kind of silently drift into the room. This happened. She reported this multiple times. But there were some spirits that weren't quiet. Carolyn, the mother, seemed to be the main target. So she seemed to be the one that this thing latched onto the most. She claimed that she was pushed, pinched, and she was threatened, and it was a female entity that was doing this.
Yep.
Some say the spirit was Bathsheba Sherman. This is a woman accused of witchcraft in the 1800s.
Right.
Rumored to have sacrificed an infant to the devil. That'll do it. That should stir up some stuff for sure. But the poor parents, they endured years of this torment. Beds levitated, doors slammed. The children were dragged from their beds by, unseen hands, I guess. At one point, Carolyn described being temporarily possessed. Her voice was not hers. Her body was moving without control. So this is some serious stuff. This is not just, cabinet doors opening and closing. Like, when it gets to the point of possession, like, what do you do? Like, how do you get away from this? And how you got to get help,
Yeah, absolutely.
But then there was a twist. Even after the parents eventually left the farmhouse, the family insisted that the spirits didn't leave them. The daughters, who are now adults, have told interviewers that the hauntings followed them into adulthoods.
Yes.
Strange apparitions still appear. The sense of being watched never really went away. The parents, I mean, like, this just became kind of part of their family identity, like, it started with Carolyn and, the parents, and now the kids are facing the same thing. So this is another one of those famous, generational hauntings where it's not a haunted place, it's haunted people. And I feel like that's scarier than, so
I think it is too, because where do you go? I mean, isn't the first thing everybody says, especially the skeptics, as soon as you tell a story, Jaime, you've heard this a million times.
Oh yeah.
Why didn't you GTFO, right? Why didn't you get at it?
It's not that easy.
And leave. Well, yeah, it's not. One, I mean, if it's the house, still, you've got so many things that you have to consider, like picking up and leaving, and how difficult that is. I mean, people don't, I mean, I get it. However, then if it's you and your family, and these things won't leave you alone, what the hell do? You can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere. This is something that you have to like somehow accept. And and it's hard, especially when, and a lot of the cases that you talked about today with your experience, when they are affecting your children in such a way, boy, it doesn't get more desperate than that. That horrible, desperate feeling of what do we do?
What do you do? Like, how do you fix it? Yeah. Right. So there's a lot. And I'm gonna bring my mom on here in a minute. I mean, we've talked about my hauntings, in my house in Lamar. Lots of things happened there. My dog also would bark at, things that weren't there. We had cabinet doors open and closing. We saw the tail end of a Victorian gown going up the stairs. We had our electronics messed with. The electrical would just go out for no apparent reason. We had a hallway where we could not keep the lights on. It was affecting my children. They were hearing voices, like seas of voices. This went on for years as well. And again, it started slow with little things that we would notice here and there that we couldn't 100% say this place is haunted, but it was enough to kind of pique our awareness of it. Sure. Again, it escalated, just like these stories, it escalated. But this is not that house in Lamar that is slowly becoming very infamous. It's not the first time I've experienced this. When I was from when I was a kid, when I was in high school, we lived in a very haunted house, and my mom's going to have some stories about that here in a second. Okay. I'm going to let her know that we're going to be calling her, and I can't wait for her to share some of her stories. But I feel like, I don't know. I mean, is it just, we just happen to pick these houses that are haunted, or is it something to do with our bloodline, or, what is it? I don't know. Or maybe, sometimes it's because, skeptics or, people will say it's, some people are just more susceptible to this kind of thing, more open to this kind of thing. Sure. So what is it? Is it an attachment, or is it an openness to it? Is it a sensitivity? I don't know.
Yeah, I wondered that. I mean, the stories that you a little bit that you've talked about your mom, and I know with you, it certainly could be that you guys are like a beacon. There's something to it where, and here's what gets me too. It's not even just the dead that seem to be drawn to you. You tend, even the living, who have these things to say to you. I mean, just in the past few months, you've had, passengers in your car or people.
They just open up to me about this stuff. Yeah.
Like, this is, and it's like, how do they know? So in a sense, that's what I feel like for me when it comes to you. I think that there's something about you that it does draw not only the dead, but the living who have things to say about this type of thing. Yeah. And so that could be a part of a generational thing as well. I mean, why can't something like that be passed down from generation to generation? I personally think with my family, we all seem to have what do I want to say? I hate using certain words like psychic or ability to talk to the dead. I don't know what you want to call it,
Yeah.
However, I definitely feel like it's something I have. I actually feel like it came from my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
My dad has said things growing up, that he'll see things or things will happen, but then he'll just kind of like blow it off. Like,
Right.
blah, 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 it was blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, okay, dad. And, but with me, I feel like when I was younger, I shut it down. I shut a lot of it down. I didn't want it. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to deal with it. And sometimes over the years it hasn't been a choice. Not just seeing spirits or whatever the case may be, but hearing things. I can't remember what it's called. Audio sentience, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Something
get
like
it
that.
wrong. I apologize, everyone who I don't think I said it right, but I tend to hear things out of the blue, random things that I don't.
Yeah.
But so it just kind of happens. But now as I've gotten older, I've kind of welcomed it more, and there's more things that I think that I can do and I'm open to. So I think that has been passed down to my children. I know Gabby has been on the show, and she
Mm-hmm.
talks a lot about. She has since really tried shutting a lot of it down too, just because she's had scary experiences.
Yeah.
And so I get that. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So, but I also think Hayden has it. Hayden says some things.
Mm-hmm.
Hayden says
Yeah.
things that he shouldn't know, or
Yeah.
the things that he'll say, the things that he sees. And so part of me, yes, when it comes to generational, I do think that things like this can be passed right down.
I
Yeah.
definitely think so too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because I think we talked about it a little bit before the podcast, and I was talking to my mom about it last night, but I remember things happening, to me, especially in this one house when I was a teenager, and I remembered a certain way. And so I was like, do you remember when this happened? Just making sure I wasn't crazy, and mom's like, yeah. And it was pretty close to how I remembered it,
Mm-hmm.
But there were so many things that happened. I was so happy that to hear that, okay, yes, this is not just a kid's memory, twisting things around. So
Sure.
I'm excited to get her on
Yeah.
and confirm some of these things that I remember from my
Yes,
childhood.
absolutely.
All right, so I'm gonna try to see if I can reach my mom, and maybe she didn't get cold feet. We'll see.
She's got this.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi. Welcome. We are you're on our podcast. I know we talked about it, so I'm not really blindsiding you, but
Well,
yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You haven't really got to meet Jen yet, but she's here too.
I have seen her on some of the podcasts that I was able to watch, but I haven't got to meet her in person.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
we'll
right.
We'll have to make that happen.
Yeah. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah. So we're talking about generational hauntings, and we kind of already talked about some of the famous ones, like the Perrin family and the Conjuring was based on, and then we talked about the Smurls, which the most recent Conjuring, the one that's out now, is based on, and we'll have to go see that, Mom. We saw the original one together. You remember?
Yes, Eli and I have talked about going to that too, so we need to all get together and make a day of it.
Yes, definitely. But that kind of made me think about our family, and like I've even heard like Grandma Bobby tell stories, and we've experienced stuff, in some of the houses that we've lived in over the years as I was growing up, and especially that one in Lamar. And so I was wondering if you want to kind of talk about some of the stuff that maybe we're trying to decide if we've lived in haunted places or if we're just haunted people. So,
well, I don't know what you have already relayed about my mother's experience.
Nothing yet. So I would love to hear it. Yeah.
So that's probably a good place to start. When I was a child, my mother's next to youngest brother, there were 12 in his family. He was the next to the youngest, and he passed away. And she was getting ready for bed one night and was in front of the mirror doing something, and James, her brother that was recently deceased, appeared to her in that mirror, and that really had an impact on me as a child. She told us that this happened, and they had a special relationship that didn't really apply to her and the other siblings, because they had a dairy farm. And so my grandmother and the older boys worked the farm. And then my mother became the mother figure for James and the smaller siblings. And so she was the one from the time he was in infancy. She was more his mother than his sister.
Wow. So they had a special bond. So it would make sense why he would appear to her.
Right. Her name is Bobby, was Bobby, and she's passed away now, but she got that name actually from James when he was an infant, because he would want her to fill up his bottle, and he said it, Bobby. And so it sounded like he was calling her Bobby, and that name stuck, and that was the name she used her entire life.
I love that.
That's so cute.
What was it? She has like several names. I just think this is so interesting. But what is her full name? Like, wasn't it Bobby? What was it?
Her birth name was Hilda Hazel. So it was Hilda Hazel, Bobby, Kilo, Wiles, Peltz, Taylor, Cheryl.
Yeah. But wasn't there a baby John in there or something too?
Yeah. Her birth certificate originally had baby John. And then she later had it changed to Bobby legally.
Yeah.
And then some place she went, they required her to have a middle name. So she just chose Kay as her middle name.
And was it just the initial K, or was it spelled out?
The only way I ever saw it was the initial K.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought was odd. I don't know why that was, but
yeah.
When you have that many names, you don't really want.
I know. I know. So Hilda, Hazel, Bobby, baby John, and then all the other last names.
And then all of her married names.
Yeah. Wow. I love that.
And, I don't know a lot about experiences that her mother had. My granny is what I called her. But I remember that she was a very strong believer in the spiritual beings and so forth. And the one thing that stands out is maybe a little bit off track, but I was helping her change the bedclothes on her bed that she shared, of course, with my grandfather. And in changing his pillowcase, she found something that they call a crown in the pillows. And if you've never seen one, you really just can't understand what it is. But the feathers are so intricately wound together in perfection.
Oh.
And it makes a small little pillow thing, a little bit larger than your fist, probably.
Okay.
And the people back then would find them, every once in a while. Today, you hardly ever see one, I'm sure, because we don't do that kind of feathers and pillows anymore. But the folklore has it that those, if you find a crown in your pillow, that something bad is going to happen to you, or you're going to die, or
like a bad omen to find a
bad omen. Yeah. And so I remember how upset she was when we found that in my grandfather's pillow.
Yeah.
So she was, totally attuned to all of that. And so for that reason, I think that she had had some experiences as well.
Yeah. Man, I wish that we wouldn't know what they were. But I mean, already so my great grandmother, my grandmother, and also you've experienced a lot too. I know you've probably got some stories that you want to tell. The ones that I know are the ones in the house that we lived in when I was a teenager that was near the football field. We called it the Sparks house is what we called it.
And I'm not sure if, this would have been when you were much younger, but I just remembered that you had the imaginary friend.
Yes.
When you were a child.
Yeah.
And I was always suspicious of that imaginary friend.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why, but we had set a place at the table for Tutu. That was what
Tutu. Yeah.
And so looking back on it now, I think I was probably right to be suspicious,
Yeah.
But anyway, the Sparks house, yes, that was from the very beginning. When we were moving in, we had a yard sale, to get rid of a bunch of stuff so we wouldn't have to move it. And we were having it at the Sparks house. And there were people there, 2 ladies, I believe they were, and they were both teachers. And apparently teachers had lived in that house before and had told them how haunted it was. And one of the ladies refused to get out of the car in the yard because of the stories that she had been told by the prior tenants.
Wow. I remember you telling me about that. That's just crazy. And I had something similar when I was working with my dad in the summers.
Yes.
And
you were about 15 maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like that.
Yep. And my stepmom came to pick me up, and it was early in the morning because we'd have to get started at like 5 a.m., because it was hot and we worked outside. And so I was notorious for oversleeping, and that hasn't changed much even now. But
never a morning person, really.
No, I've never been a morning person. But so she came to pick me up, and she thought I was awake because she sat there and she was like, the lights were going off and on. It was like you were walking through the house, turning a light on, then you turn it off and walk to the next room, turn the light on, turn it off. And I was the only one there. You were out of town, and I think my siblings were with their dad or something, but I was the only one in the house. I was sound asleep. Yeah. And so she didn't think to get out of the car, but then this went on, and I never came out to meet her. So she had MS, and so it wasn't easy for her to get around, but she made it up the steps to the front door and banged on the door. And I finally woke up, and she's like, what are you doing? Basically. And she said, I thought you were awake because all the lights were going off and on, but I was sound asleep. And she also said she heard like the TV playing and like the stereo going off, and she started talking about these noises that she could hear. And I'm sleeping through this whole thing. Wow. And I was the only one in the house. So that always freaked me out.
That house was, I don't know how old it was, but it was designed in a manner of houses of that time where they had actually 2 front doors.
Right.
And one of the front doors went directly into your room.
Yes.
So when she came to the door, she could see that you were still in bed asleep.
Yep.
She told me this. I wasn't there, of course, but that's what she told me.
Yeah.
And and it was pretty bizarre.
Yeah, it was. And we had weird stuff with the electricity happen there too, didn't we? Like in the hallway.
Yes, and our landlord, I don't think we were his favorite tenants because we would tell him about this, and he had an electrician come over, and the electrician couldn't find any problem with it. But the hallway light would just come on randomly, and we would go to turn it off, and the switch would already be turned off.
Yep.
And the light would just be on. So it was scary. And we also had a canvas of our painting of our family that we put over the fireplace in the living room. And it was probably 18 by 40, something like that. It was big.
Yeah.
And every night it would it would be on the mantle above the fireplace. That's where we kept it. And the next morning it would be across the room and face down on the floor every night.
Wow.
And I looked to see maybe there was a draft, coming from the fireplace, but it was closed off.
Yeah.
So there couldn't have been a draft coming in. So that was just one thing. But I always felt like whatever the presence was there was benign and actually a little bit protective of us, because another incident involved this guy I was seeing at that time, and whatever was in the house did not like him. I had his picture on. There was also a fireplace in my bedroom, which is, it's like the house
in Lamar,
that had lots of fireplaces in it. And I had his picture on the mantle in there, and I would find it turned face to the wall every morning when I get up.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so creepy.
Come to find out later on that the ghost was right about him too. But we were having
you should have listened.
Yeah.
We were having
an argument, and we were in that room, and there was a mirror across the hallway where the light was always coming on into the next room. It was that far away. And when our voices got loud, I heard something that sounded like a kind of an explosion, but with a lot of sound like glass shattering. And so I ran in there, and there was a mirror that had been on the wall, and it had just shattered all over the floor. And I always felt like that was because the spirit disapproved of the guy.
Yeah.
And was trying to intercede, somehow.
It was almost like it was protecting us in some way,
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I always visualize that person as like a grandmother type figure, or something, an old woman was. For some reason, that's how I always imagined that spirit would look if I could see them,
Yes.
Maternal kind of, or grandmotherly.
Uh-huh. That's funny that you say that. We talked about sleep paralysis in one of our previous episodes. And it was in that house where I would have the recurring, I'm going to call it a dream. I don't know if it was a vision or what, but of an old lady, and I would see her out. She wasn't in the house. She was outside the house, like next to the road. It started when she was next to the road, and she would float across the yard and then to the fence and then disappear. She would like look at me and then disappear. And then each time I had this dream, I would get sleep paralysis. I couldn't wake up. I couldn't scream, all that stuff. And every time I had that dream, she was a little bit closer to the house until finally she was like at that door that you just talked about earlier that had the window, the window door go into my room.
Yes.
And that I've never been able to shake that. And that's crazy that it sounds like you saw an old woman too, but you just got the feeling that it could have been an old woman. Yeah. Wow.
I never did actually see any figures or anything like that when we were living there. I would feel something jump on the bed sometimes when I would either just be sitting on the bed or maybe laying down on the bed reading or something.
Yeah.
It felt like a cat. I think there was a cat there too.
Oh, interesting.
A cat ghost.
A cat ghost, yeah. I've heard of that.
Something of, when a cat jumps on bed, it's kind of unmistakable because of the way they're so light-footed, and even a heavier cat, they land real softly.
Yeah.
On the bed. So that was kind of what that was like too. And that was a recurring thing in my bedroom.
Wow. That's so crazy. And then we had the clothes hangers. What happened with that? Like we had a pool table in one of the rooms.
Yeah, that was the same room where the glass mirror was that broke. And so there was some activity, and otherwise in there, but I can't remember it. But I do remember the coat hangers because we were getting ready to move out, and I had a trash bag full of coat hangers, and I was trying to use them to get our clothes ready to move, and I couldn't get them untangled. They were just such a mess. And so
it's those old wire ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I gave it up and went to bed. And the next morning I got up and the coat hangers were neatly arranged in a big circle all around the edge of the room up against the wall. No longer tangled, just individually placed.
That gives me chills.
Yeah. And I remember that so distinctly because I remember other things that happened. I can't remember what they were, but some other things had happened that made me think that the spirit was unhappy about us leaving. So they kind of
like maybe she liked us.
Yeah, and so I think that they did that to show me that they weren't opposed to us leaving, that they were being helpful.
Oh,
leaving.
Okay.
So that was my interpretation of that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. But it didn't stop though for either of us once we left that house, because then I went to Lamar, eventually, some things happened there. And then and some other things along the way, but that was the big one, the big haunting for me. And then you've experienced some stuff in your current house as well, right? Some crazy.
Some of the things I remember most from your house, the shade house, we'll call it, in Lamar, was that when you had the people come there to investigate, the paranormal investigators, a Ouija board was used, and they asked the Ouija board if they were able to catch an image of them on any of their cameras.
Yes.
And went to yes. And so the next question was which one? And I could actually left the board and moved across to a camera and pointed to it.
It did. Yeah.
It was the freakiest thing I had heard.
Yes. It was so scary. I've got chills right now. That was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced in my life. So,
and I remember that you would be in the laundry room and they would start calling your name and no one would be there.
Yep. Yep. And that's happened to me at your house as well. Your current house.
Yes. It also happened to Jackson.
It did. Yep. Yes. Yep. He thought I was there. I was outside, and he said that
you in the yard.
Yeah, I was in the yard.
He thought you were standing right there, right outside the room talking to him, and he looked out the window, and you were way out in the yard.
Yeah,
doing something. So it kind of freaked him out.
Yeah. Disembodied voices are so freaky. I hate it.
And I think that whatever is in the house, this house, that's where we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
I think that there's something about children because Grayson was sleeping in one of the bedrooms upstairs when he was quite a bit smaller. He's 13, 14 now, and I can remember I have 36 grandchildren. But anyway, he was asleep in one of the rooms, and the door slammed open so hard it hit the wall.
Oh, wow.
And then his covers were jerked off of the bed. And I was downstairs, and I heard him screaming. And it was the kind of scream that's unmistakable, that it's coming from a terrorized person.
Right. Yeah.
And his older sister, Savannah, was upstairs. And so she got to him before I did and calmed him down. But he wouldn't go upstairs here for years after that.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't either. That's so scary.
And Eliza was much smaller than that. And she, something happened to her in this house that she could never really even fully talk about. But she told her dad that it had something to do with shadow people. That she actually was so traumatized that she had to go into therapy. She was in therapy for about a year. And she developed separation anxiety, where she wanted both of her parents to be there with her all the time, and couldn't, allow them to be away. And I've talked to her about it on occasion since she's been older, and she says she can't remember what happened here.
Wow, that's so interesting. I wonder if she blocked it out because it was so traumatizing.
Yeah. I think so. And I think Eli's even told me that he's seen shadow people here when he was still in high school.
Yeah. Well, it does seem like, so Jackson was just a teenager when he was, hearing my voice there.
Yeah, he was really young.
Yeah. And then a lot, all of these are all my nieces and nephews that she's talking about, and they're all just young. So it does seem like whatever is there likes to pick on the young ones.
Yeah, Eliza was probably maybe kindergarten age. She was very young.
Yeah.
And Grayson he was a little bit older than that, but he wasn't in junior high yet. He was still in grade school.
Man, that's so scary. Yeah. Thank you so much for telling these stories, because most of this I remembered, but I wasn't sure if I was remembering it exactly right.
Yes.
Was there any other ones? You've shared a lot. This has been awesome. Mm-hmm. It really helps me, because I have these memories, and I was thinking, when you're so far removed from it, I'm wondering, is this real? Am I exaggerating it? And it's so nice to hear that what I remember actually happened, and I'm not crazy, So.
And I know you're running out of time, but if you'll remember my office where I rented.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And I won't go into everything that happened there, but one of the scariest things was when I was there at night, and I had all the doors locked because I was in there. We were actually moving out of the building, and I was in there packing up stuff. And we had a buzzer on the back door, so we'd know if someone came in back there, because all of the employees worked toward the front of the building. And so while I was there by myself, that buzzer at the back door just kept going off and kept going off. I'd go look, door was still locked, nobody was there. And you had to open the door for the buzzer to go off, because it was one of those things where they connect and disconnect kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so about the third time I went to check on it, the piece that was on the inside of the door flew off the door and came about 15 feet down the hallway and landed at my feet.
That gives me chills. It freaks me out.
Yeah, I was there by myself, and there were other things that happened that night too that were there was a box that had some packing material in it. It's like those things you get that are full of air about the size of your head almost.
Yeah.
There was a box of those sitting there, and I'd gone outside to take some trash to the dumpster, and I came back in, and it looked like those bags were breathing.
Oh.
Expanding and shrinking and expanding.
Oh my gosh.
And when I left there that night, I had this strong feeling that something came home with me. And it was weeks afterward that I wouldn't go down the dark hallway from my bedroom to the bathroom without taking my cross with me.
Wow.
I was so sure that whatever was there had followed me home. But it never manifested here at my house. So
good.
I don't think it did, but I was terrified.
Oh, that is so scary, Mom. I feel like, didn't Keisha, she had a story too. So my ex-sister-in-law, I think, had a story from that same office.
And she actually sent me a video of what happened.
Yeah.
And I cannot remember exactly what was on the video, but it was objects moving and things like that. And it was all in that same area in the back part of the office.
Yeah.
And another thing that kept happening was it sounded like the bathroom door slamming open back against the wall, you know.
Yeah.
And the lady that worked there, that was our front lady, had worked there at night before, and she kept telling me that she was hearing that. And I thought, we're on a busy street, you know, it's probably something coming from outside. But then that night when the buzzer flew off the door and all that, door slamming sound was repetitive. And I was right there in front of that bathroom in my office.
Oh my gosh.
And the door, it wasn't actually slamming. It was just making the noise that it made when it was slamming.
That is so weird. That one sounds like a mean spirit in that place.
Yeah. So. I definitely felt that it was not benign for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, what are your thoughts? Do you think that we've just somehow picked haunted places to live in, or do you think it has something to do with, you know, being extra sensitive, or do you think it's something that can attach to a family? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a little bit of both, because like in the Sparks house, you know, obviously there had been hauntings there before, and in your Shea house at Lamar, there'd been hauntings there before.
Right.
You lived there. I don't know of anything in my house that came before, but I know that the office also, as you were saying, the people who rented it after me, they did a complete renovation and remodeling of that building, and it still was active, and sent me videos of it. So I don't think it's all just us, but I think we are sensitive to that sort of thing, where another family might live in that haunted house and never be bothered by it because they wouldn't be sensitive to that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think our family just is. I know Jayla has also had occurrences in her house.
She has. Yeah.
Things would disappear and then reappear, you know, in some place, you know, where it had never been, never needed to be. And
and we shared pictures that she had sent where she had just made the bed and she was the only one there, and there were some kind of weird footprints across the blanket.
And there was something written in the dust on one.
Yes.
I can't imagine there being dust in her house.
Yeah.
But, somehow, I can't remember if a word was written or if it was a handprint. It was something like
that. It was something. I can't remember like that. I can't remember that one either. Yeah.
It was enough to have her take a picture of it.
Yes.
And send it to us. I can't remember what it was.
And I believe, I think I'm remembering this right, but she was saying that she kept hearing a voice leaving a voice message like on an answering machine when they first, it was back when you still had that, and that she went in and there was no message, there were no voicemail, there was nothing, no way I had called. So there a lot, she's experienced a lot too, so I guess we're just a haunted family. I don't know, this is weird.
And some of it is not all bad. For those people that will be listening to this and don't know, David, my husband, recently passed away, and his favorite flower was the zinnia. And I had no luck growing zinnias until I just given up and didn't even plant any this year. And the day after he died, I went out into my front yard, and there was a zinnia growing in the middle of the yard that had already reached somewhere like 18 to 20 inches tall with a full-fledged bloom on it.
I know, it makes me tear up.
Wasn't there the day before, and because I was having to water all that stuff, and I would have known if it was there the day before. But it like appeared fully grown and then full bloom, and I just felt like that was him saying, I'm okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I get really emotional when I hear that story. I just think it's so sweet and awesome. And so, it's not all bad. So, but we don't, it would be cool if we could have a filter where we could just welcome in all these wonderful, omens and stuff, and then filter out the bad ones. But unfortunately, it seems like we're sensitive to both ends of the spectrum. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mom. I don't even think I think I've just said Mom this whole time, but this is Iva Nell, my mom. And thank you, Mom, for coming on and sharing these stories.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. A pleasure.
We love it. And I guess we're going to wrap it up because we try to keep it around an hour and a half. Sometimes we jibber jabber a little too long, but But thank you. I love you. And I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Love you too. Bye.
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 So, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy. She had some stories that I didn't even remember. So
really? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was incredible. That was some great stories. I have a feeling there's even more.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. There's some that I can think of that I know she's told me that we just couldn't squeeze them all in. But so there you go. So it's kind of, she talked about my great-grandmother, my grandmother, her stories, then my stories. And then, it's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I think she's right, though. I think it might be a little bit of both, Maybe we're drawn to certain places, we're sensitive to certain things, but it's definitely a generational thing.
Absolutely. So, yeah. I think that's fascinating that that's a thing. But I do think there are certain people who just tend to, they're just drawn to them. And it's because you do have people out there who just refuse, like they won't, even if it's super hard to explain, they'll try and figure out a way to have it not make sense. So, but the people who are open, they're probably going to tend to receive more.
Yeah.
I think so too. That's what's going on with you guys. So
and your family as well,
I mean, we've all kind of experienced hauntings, but I think there's something separate happening as far as like mediumship wise or hearing. And I know it's happening with the kids. I know my dad has seen things, but like I said, he don't want to talk about it a whole lot.
He's tough. He's a tough guy. He's like, we're not gonna do that.
He has an interest in it. With my dad having dementia, he doesn't quite understand what we're doing here. Like he doesn't really know too much about that. But growing up, he had lots of stories about things, and he had I grew up with him having a huge fascination in UFOs. So that was a lot. He would talk about UFOs. I think it really, and I think it affects how we are today, the types of conversations that our parents had with us as kids. Like, I was really young. He had a copy of the book Communion. Have you ever seen the cover of Communion, that book?
Yeah.
Okay, so just this like alien on the cover,
Yeah.
black eyes. And I just always remember that being somewhere sitting around. And I remember thinking, that's the freakiest thing. Like, but if you get like used to it,
I know.
You get used to the things that are happening, that get talked about. It gets very normalized.
Right.
Sometimes with certain families. I think that's what's going on with your family too.
Yeah.
It seems, I mean, don't get me wrong, you still get chills hearing these
Yeah.
stories, but it's kind of become a common occurrence. It's just like something that just kind of happens. And so it just seems natural. Like, yeah, this is just how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. I mean, some people would be, running for their lives, I think, if they experience some of this stuff, but I don't know. It's just, and I mean, you've had stuff happen where you're at. You're not fleeing for your life. It's just, you just learn to live with it. And,
you do.
Until you start to really feel threatened. And then, I guess you deal with it from there, but
sure, absolutely. Like I've always said, I've never not lived in a haunted house. There isn't a house that I haven't experienced something. I will say though, it feels like it's something different though in each house. There's a difference there,
right?
The house I grew up in, things were very innocent, and it felt like someone completely different than, say, we had a house in Onstead, Michigan, where and it was strange because at the time I really wasn't acknowledging any of the things going on in the house.
Right.
This is where our dog Goliath, at the time, he was just a young guy. Then he would just stare at a corner of the room and just but looking up. That was the thing.
Oh, yeah.
And
like what's up there? Yeah.
Sitting at attention, staring. Hayden was a baby when we lived there. Hayden would go into huge screaming fits and point at the corner of a room, in his room. He'd stand in his crib and he'd scream, and we'd go in there and he would just be so distraught, and he'd be pointing, and there's nothing there. So that's always really, and that is also the house where the shadow figure came up from the basement and came at me.
Oh gosh.
I think with that house in particular, it was something completely different than anything, that had been in any of the houses I had moved into. And it seemed, looking back now at it, I think it was definitely a more aggressive, angrier spirit that didn't seem super happy that we were there.
Right.
Also happened to be one of the newer houses I've ever lived in too. So it's once again, where did it come from? Why is it happening there?
Right.
My mom at the time would say, my grandfather, it was my grandfather's house we had moved into, and he had passed away. And my mom would say, oh, maybe it's just grandpa. And I was like, no, this is not my grandfather. My grandfather would never be like this, it wasn't that type of spirit. Eventually, when we moved to Saline, Michigan, I moved in, and there was definitely the feeling of something else there. Most everyone that came in had more of a, we had several people say a Native American person was living at the house.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Gabby had seen him. I had another friend who is sensitive, and she said it pretty much as soon as we moved in. She had said, and you would walk into this one particular bedroom, and you could feel it. Someone else was always in the room with you, but they never seemed to leave that room. He kind of just liked hanging out there, but he just hung out. Like, it didn't feel bad.
Right. I mean, no malicious energy or anything like that. Yeah.
No. You could tell there were other things in there too. Now, eventually, when we got really more into investigations, I've talked before. We did bring a couple things home, and that's I blame ourselves for that. We were very inexperienced. We didn't say anything. You need to stay here. We didn't bless or say anything or an after. We just thought we're going to go investigate, my friend's, building where she has her business. And, unfortunately we did have, I feel like with the little girl spirit that came back with us, I think she left eventually. Now there was a man spirit that followed us home, and he was no good.
Ooh, yeah,
he was
no good.
I had been scratched.
That gives me chills.
Yeah, he would watch me. I could see him sometimes at the end of my bed just watching me.
Yeah.
The one thing that happened where I actually feel quite validated is the way my bedroom was in that house. If you looked out the bedroom door, you could see the kitchen. And I think I had said before, as soon as we came home from that investigation, you couldn't walk into the kitchen without being like nauseous. I was nauseous.
Yeah.
I could feel him standing, looming behind me. Like, how you feel when someone's standing super close. That's what this guy would do. He was very intimidating. Something was really wrong. Yeah. And at night, if I was sitting in bed watching TV, quickly out of the corner of your eye, you could see a black figure just run from the kitchen to the laundry room.
Oh, yeah.
Boop, boop, boop. And I would see this. And one time I caught it just a little bit longer, where I turned and you could really fully see a figure, but it was so fast going back and forth. And finally one night, my ex-boyfriend had been staying there, and we were sitting up watching television, and he looked over and he goes, "Did you see that?" Oh. And I said, "Did you see it?"
Yeah.
I hadn't been used to it. I hadn't said a word to anybody because I thought everyone's going to think I'm crazy. So I just didn't even mention it. And he goes, "I just saw a dark figure run from the kitchen to the laundry room." And I was like, the funny thing was, I was excited. I was like, yes.
Finally, validation. Yes.
I felt good.
Look at this. I've got chills. I don't know if you see them.
Yes.
I've got goosebumps.
To give you goosebumps. But that went on. And I feel very strongly it was that guy, but he wasn't the original crew that was there when I feel pretty good.
Him home.
The guy we brought home.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was about him, but he just lingered and hung out there. And I don't think he was, like I said, like he scratched and he wasn't, I don't know what he was trying to get across, but it didn't feel as good. And even so Gabby really picked up on him when we had gone for that investigation. She really was like, something's not right with him. She goes, "I don't like the way he's looking at me." Like she could see him. Yeah. And I think he could she could see him. So he was like, "I'm coming with you guys because I got something to say or something to do." And I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if he is still there in that house. I mean, we were still experiencing things with him up until the end, when we moved. Right. But yeah, I felt so good when someone else saw that. And it was exactly what I had been experiencing for probably close to a year at that point. Yeah. And I was like, okay, good. Like, I'm not alone here. Yeah. So I did. I was like, I'm like, I know that guy. I've seen him running back and forth, and you would just see it. You could just see it out of the corner of your eye, and it's enough to drive you crazy. But so, going back to like, is this something that follows you? I think I tend to be like you. I'm more open. I'm going to see it. Anyone else could probably blow off so many of those things. Right. But I do think I think it's different entities for me at every place. And
I think so too. For me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think whatever is here, it's something different too. And I don't necessarily, it's weird. You don't feel
threatened.
I don't. Yeah. Gabby didn't like it at all because it tended to be our religious things that were getting thrown around and flying off the walls.
Ooh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that. That doesn't look good, right? It doesn't seem.
Yeah.
I honestly think the thing that's here now was not a big fan of the men that were here. As soon as your mom started talking about that, I do think because once my ex-boyfriend, because we had decided we moved here, we were living together, and then when it didn't work out and he left, I'm telling you, a lot of
it's changed. Yeah.
It got quieted down, and then once we decided my dad, would need to probably be in a facility that could help him more.
Yeah.
It died down even more because my dad, and it's so hard with him having dementia, you know,
Right.
he would tell me like, oh, I had a conversation. There's a man who's here and I had a conversation with him. But it's so hard because is this dementia?
He has dementia, right.
Did this really happen? So it's hard, but a lot of stuff was my dad was the first to hear the knocking that started here at the house. He just kept saying, and he would say, someone's pacing outside my door. I hear the footsteps every single night outside my door. And then slowly my ex-boyfriend started hearing the knocking. I finally started hearing the knocking, and then it just progresses. Like, why is it they always start with the knocking and then it just gets bigger?
I know it is. Isn't that strange? It is. And you know, that's what's consistent with most of these stories. It starts with a knocking or a creaky door or, something very benign. And then it becomes more aggressive throughout time, and it just
ramps.
It's interesting. I wonder, because that makes me it just these conversations like open up so many different like trains of thought in my mind, because I'm thinking maybe they are in some of these houses where people that aren't sensitive are, but they're going to hear a knock and they're going to say that's the foundation settling, and they're going to hear a creaky door and it's the wind, and and it never goes any further than that. But with us being more sensitive to it, I think we maybe open it up and it keeps going, from there. But I don't know. It's a mystery, and I don't know why some people are more haunted than others. But yeah. It seems like it does kind of carry on in families. Like if one person is sensitive, it seems a lot of times it's a generational thing. So
there's a story about Hayden I've wanted to share for a while. I just didn't know where to like fit it in. But it's one of those things where it was like one of the moments I knew Hayden could see things. And so a lot of like the business I have is Fat Lucy Finds. I do find antiques and all kinds of things, and I do resale, and I work, and I have a lot of things in an antique store, and as well as sell on eBay. But because of the house we had before, I didn't have a ton of storage space. I'm super good at shopping for these things. It's the best thing I'm good at.
Yeah, I love that stuff
like no other. I can find a bargain anywhere I go. And so it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I can't list this stuff quick enough, but I couldn't stop buying it. Right.
Yeah.
So I had a huge like stockpile, but then I had the things that were listed, and it's kind of like, what do you do with them? So for a while I was renting a storage unit, and there was one in Saline that I had rented and had my things, and I would actually do a lot of my work right there. I would plug in my light, take pictures, like right in the storage unit and everything. So Hayden would come with me a lot of those times. And I'll tell you, it was definitely a storage unit place. It was all indoors. And, you would take the elevator to get to our floor. It definitely had like a feel about it. And it really, the more time I spent there, the eerier it would get. There were a couple times I would see like shadows, kind of like on the walls, and for
like
that too. Yeah, it's so strange, but it also made sense to me. Places like that, there's so many people storing things.
Yes.
Where did this stuff come from? Are there things attached to the things that are stored in places like that? I have to imagine storage units have to be one of the most haunted places.
They've got to be for sure.
If you have an attachment. So one time, and I don't even know my response to my little boy. I can't even believe it just came out, but he handled it anyway. So one day we're walking to get to the elevator to leave, and he always referred to the things that he saw as monsters. That was his, very calmly, he would say it's a monster. And not very often. It was never like, I can't go to my room, there's monsters under the bed. It was very nonchalant. And a lot of the times, the places he would see stuff were things we had all experienced, maybe seeing something too. Never discussed it with him. But he said very calmly, we're at the storage unit, and he says, there are monsters here. And I said, I know. Like, I don't know why I said that. And at the time he was probably like 6 or 7. And I'm telling my 6 and 7-year-old, yes, there are monsters here. But he said it. And I said, yes, I know there are. And he didn't flinch. He didn't get scared. He said, first you hear them and then you see them. He was so calm in saying that. And I thought, wow. Yeah. So yes, I believe wholeheartedly that Hayden can see things too. I know he's experienced stuff here, but that storage unit, the way he said it, and I was like, yeah. But afterwards, I was like, why did you say that? Why did you say, yes, there's monsters here? I felt so bad, but he took it. He was like, yeah, I know. So calm. Like this was just normal. Yeah. So
I love that about kids. It does seem like it takes more to rattle them than it does to rattle us sometimes. So
yes. But I think like when I say he uses the word monsters, I think he says it like that's his word for spirits or ghosts or that's just what he came up with and what he said. In fact, one time when we were at my ex-boyfriend's house before we had started living together, and I've shared my ex-boyfriend's house is incredibly haunted, scary haunted. And Hayden, one time he walked right past the basement, which Gabby had seen and felt a lot of things coming out of the basement from there. And Hayden walked by it one day. He was like, oh, you got a monster. And he just kept walking.
My gosh. Wow. I love that. He's so brave. He's so brave.
I don't know how he would do it, but but that's the thing. And I share these stories because we talk about generational. And I think that Hayden is right there. I know Gabby's got it, but I feel very confident Hayden has it too. So it's just one of those things. Like maybe it is good that I said it the way I did, and we were calm about having these conversations. I don't want him to live his life in fear for these things either. So
Naima is giving us a visit over here. Did you hear? I'm sure you'll hear in the recording her slurping away on her water. But
all right, so not a demon. Just
not a demon, not a random demon growl, just a dog drinking water. It's okay. and she coughed a little bit too. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I know. Yeah, I know we didn't come to you last week, but we did almost double episode.
Yes, we did. So. Yeah. That's okay. Double your money this week. So
that's right. That's right. We doubled up on the episodes this week. So
it was a good time. Thank you again to my mom, Iva Nell, for coming on and sharing some of her stories and making me feel like I'm not so crazy.
Right.
But awesome. We'll see you guys next week. I think we're back on schedule.
Yep.
We have, I guess, will it be our next episode? We'll have a special guest again. So
and this coming weekend, I'm back on the road again. I'm telling you, I kind of need a vacation from the vacations a little bit here. But some of this is work related, but I'm off to Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'll be there again with Dustin Perry. Brian Cano will be there this time around. For those that follow those guys, they are they do a lot in the paranormal world. So I'm excited. I've not met Brian before. This will be my 3rd visit with Dustin.
Oh, nice.
My feelings will be hurt if he doesn't know who I am.
Oh, yeah. You've got to remember you this time.
That's it.
Well, have so much fun.
Yes.
That's so much fun. I'm also traveling this coming weekend. So we'll both be on the road.
Yes.
I'm just going to a concert, but
Well, maybe
I'll be in Texas. So
that'll
be Texas
fun.
in a while. Yeah.
Cool. That'll be great.
Yeah.
So so we'll be back, and yes, you can follow us on Instagram. We are Unexplained Archives 25, and we are if you're watching on YouTube, you can hear us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Audible, Apple. We're out there now.
Everywhere.
We are everywhere. If you're here watching us on YouTube, thank you. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can check in with us each week. We'll bring a new spooky story to you. And we will see you again next time.
And we've had some wonderful comments, and we appreciate those, and the likes, and all of that helps with the algorithm and really helps us out a lot. So we appreciate all of that interaction. And so thank you. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.